As US bases from Jordan to Qatar brace for possible retaliation, are Iran-buried missiles and drones the invisible killers that could turn any limited strike into a regional firestorm? When Khamenei warned US forces they'll be hit harder than they expect, is he betting on missiles, drones, or something even more survivable hidden deep underground? With more than 60 US jets now crowding a Jordanian base, has Washington's show of force actually made Khamenei double down on threats instead of backing down? As F-35s, drones and fresh air defenses pour into Muwaffaq Salti, is this base turning into the launchpad for limited strikes, or the bullseye of Iran's first response volley? After at least 68 cargo jets land in days, is the Pentagon quietly loading the gun for a short, sharp campaign, or merely signaling strength to squeeze a better deal? And if Washington is confident, why has it twice in weeks pulled troops out of exposed Gulf bases? Precaution, or proof it fears Iran's ability to hit back hard? With hundreds of personnel quietly flown out of Qatar and Bahrain, is the US reshaping the battlefield, or bracing for the kind of retaliation it doesn't dare absorb in place? The US has effectively tripled its jet force at Jordan's Muwaffaq Salti base just as President Trump openly weighs limited strikes designed to pressure Iran at the bargaining table. New satellite imagery published by the New York Times shows more than 60 US attack jets massed at Muwaffaq Salti in central Jordan, a dramatic surge from a usual footprint. Analysts say the number of aircraft now parked at the base is roughly 3 times the normal level, signaling that Salti has been turned into a major forward staging hub. Flight tracking data indicates that at least 68 US cargo planes have landed there since February 15th, hauling in everything from munitions to support crews. Images captured on February 20th show F-35 stealth fighters, drones and helicopters parked across the aprons, alongside more conventional F-16s and support aircraft. The same reporting notes that US troops have installed new air defense systems around the base perimeter, ring-fencing the hub against potential Iranian missile or drone attacks. The New York Times also describes evacuations at US bases in Bahrain that host the Navy's Fifth Fleet, suggesting planners expect any clash with Iran to echo across the Gulf. The report claims that Muwaffaq Salti has emerged as a key hub for US operational planning on Iran, with assets and staff flowing in even as others pull back from more vulnerable sites. Jordanian officials insist the buildup falls under their bilateral defense agreement with Washington, framing the surge as lawful cooperation rather than a prelude to aggression. Remember, Jordan, Saudi Arabia and the UAE have all publicly said their soil will not be used to launch attacks on Iran, forcing Washington to balance basing rights with strike options. Jordan's base is just one node in a broader US buildup that now includes 2 carrier groups, more than a dozen warships and hundreds of jets positioned around Iran. Axios and other outlets report that more than 150 US cargo flights have recently rushed weapons and ammunition into Gulf bases, rapidly thickening stockpiles across the theater. At the same time, a second wave of US troop evacuations in just weeks has set off war alarm bells, with observers seeing both deterrence and damage limitation planning in motion. These reported evacuations from key Gulf installations came as Iranian leaders warned any US attack could trigger a regional war, directly threatening nearby host nations. The New York Times says hundreds of US troops have now been evacuated from Al Udeid base in Qatar, along a central hub for American air operations in the region. This massive US military buildup is unfolding in parallel with delicate negotiations over Iran's nuclear program, fusing diplomacy and coercive pressure into one risky mix. On February 20th, Trump told reporters he is considering a limited strike on Iran, openly describing it as a tactic to force Tehran toward a more favorable deal. A day earlier, he warned that Iran has only 10 to 15 days to better negotiate a fair deal, hinting that failure could flip the switch from pressure to actual strikes. In recent weeks, the Pentagon has assembled one of its largest recent concentrations of naval and air power near Iran, signaling that the limited option would still be anything but small. Reports claim US options on the table range from pinpoint attacks on nuclear and missile sites to far more explosive ideas, including strikes aimed at top regime figures like Khamenei himself.